Commander Jack Harrington had never imagined his mission on the alien planet would end like this. He had been part of a covert team sent to infiltrate the Virexian Empire, a fierce and advanced alien race known for their ruthless conquests. The mission had gone wrong, and Jack found himself captured by the Virexians. But rather than breaking him, their brutal interrogation only made him more determined to survive. The Virexians, intrigued by his strength and resilience, decided to test him in their ancient gladiatorial arena, a place where warriors from all over the galaxy fought for their lives. They expected him to fall easily, to be another broken prisoner, but Jack had other plans. As he was thrown into the arena, Jack stood tall, his mind clear. The harsh sunlight beat down on him, but he barely felt it. Around him were towering Virexian warriors, monstrous figures each armed with deadly weapons. But Jack was no ordinary man. He had been trained to fight to survive. His muscles ached, but his mind was sharp. His military training kicked in as he surveyed his surroundings. The arena was large, with high walls that cut off any escape. His only way out was through victory. The first warrior charged at him, roaring in anger. Jack didn't wait. He ducked low, dodging the Virexian's massive blade, and swept his legs out from under him. The alien crashed to the ground, his weapon clattering across the arena. Jack was quick. He grabbed the fallen sword and turned it against his opponent, slashing across the warrior's chest. The crowd of Virexian spectators gasped in surprise, but Jack didn't stop. He kept his eyes on the next fighter, never letting his guard down. He fought with precision, moving like a shadow, striking when his opponents least expected it. Each victory brought him closer to something he didn't understand yet. As he defeated the last of the alien warriors, he stood in the center of the arena, panting and covered in blood. The Virexians were silent. They had expected him to fail, but now they had no choice but to respect him. Word of the human who had bested their greatest warriors spread quickly through the Empire. Jack's name became a symbol of defiance. He had done what no one else could. He had survived, but there was one challenge left, one opponent who had not yet entered the arena. Princess Zora. She was the daughter of the Virexian Emperor, the most powerful figure in the Empire. Zora was known for her unmatched skill in battle, her intelligence, and her beauty. She was a symbol of everything the Virexian people stood for: strength, pride, and power. No one had ever defeated her in combat. She had been trained from a young age to be a leader, a warrior, and a queen. To the Virexians, she was perfect in every way, but to Jack, she was just another opponent. When the news came that Zora herself would face him in the arena, Jack didn't flinch. He had fought alien beasts, giant warriors, and deadly traps. An alien princess was no different. Or so he thought. The day of the fight arrived. The arena was packed with Virexian soldiers, officials, and spectators, all eager to see the human defeated. The gates opened and Zora stepped into the arena, her armor gleaming in the harsh sunlight. She was tall, with an air of confidence that radiated from her. Her sharp eyes locked onto Jack, and for the first time he felt a twinge of uncertainty. She was more than just a fighter. She was a symbol of her people's pride, a living legend. And yet Jack stood ready, his hands gripping the sword that had carried him through the previous battles. He knew this would be the hardest fight of his life. Human. Zora's voice rang out across the arena, cold and commanding. You have proven yourself in battle, but this is where your story ends. I will not be defeated by you. Jack didn't reply. Instead, he raised his sword, ready for the fight. The crowd fell silent as the two warriors faced each other. Zora's eyes narrowed, her body coiled like a spring, ready to strike. The tension was palpable. Without warning, Zora lunged forward, her movement so fast that Jack barely had time to react. She was a blur of motion, her sword cutting through the air with deadly precision. Jack barely managed to block the blow, feeling the force of it reverberate through his arms. The princess was fast, faster than anything he had faced before. Her attacks were relentless, each one calculated and deadly. Jack struggled to keep up. He was strong, but Zora was on another level. She moved with the grace of a predator, her every strike aimed at ending the fight quickly. He parried another blow, narrowly avoiding a strike to his side. Sweat dripped down his face as he focused, his mind working faster than his body. He had to find an opening, a weakness. Zora's sword came down again, but this time Jack was ready. He sidestepped, bringing his sword around in a wide arc. He didn't expect to land a blow, but he hoped to force her back. Instead, Zora stumbled slightly and Jack saw his chance. He moved quickly, his sword cutting through the air. He didn't strike to kill. He struck to disarm. The crowd gasped as Zora's sword flew from her hands, landing in the sand. She stood there, momentarily stunned. Jack, breathing heavily, kept his sword raised, watching her closely. Zora's eyes flashed with anger, but there was something else in them. Something Jack couldn't quite place. For the first time, she seemed uncertain, vulnerable. "Do it," Zora whispered, her voice low but clear. "End me or claim me, human." Her words hung in the air, a challenge and a plea all at once. Jack stood frozen, his heart racing. He had won, but what came next? He had defeated her, but was this truly the end? Zora, the proud princess of the Phyrexian Empire, was at his mercy. And yet Jack didn't know what to do. He had faced countless enemies, but none like her. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This wasn't just about victory. It was about something much larger, something he had never expected. Zora's gaze held his, a mixture of defiance and something softer, something human. Jack lowered his sword slowly, unsure of what to do next. This wasn't a fight he had prepared for. The crowd was still silent, waiting for what would happen next. The fate of the princess of the empire hung in the balance. Jack had won, but in that victory he had uncovered a truth far more complex than he could have ever imagined. The arena fell silent. Jack's grip on his sword tightened, the metal cold and heavy in his hands. His eyes locked with Zora's, and for the first time, he saw something different in her gaze, something beyond the pride and coldness of a royal warrior. There was something more, something human, a hint of vulnerability. Zora had been defeated. Her blade lay in the sand, far from her reach, and she stood there, unarmed, vulnerable. Her chest rose and fell with each breath, but she made no move to escape. Instead, her eyes searched Jack's face, waiting for him to make the next move. "End me or claim me," she whispered again, her voice carrying an unusual softness, like a hidden plea. The crowd, which had been roaring with excitement just moments before, had grown completely still. The silence in the arena was deafening. The Phyrexian spectators, who had seen countless battles, waited for Jack to do what they expected, the killing blow. But Jack wasn't sure what to do. He had come to the arena to fight, to survive. But now the fight had shifted. It was no longer about victory. It was about something deeper, something more complicated. Zora stood tall despite her defeat, her pride not allowing her to bow to her circumstances. She was a princess, a warrior, and yet she had lost to a human, someone she had considered beneath her, beneath the Phyrexian race. She had always been told that the Phyrexians were superior, that they were the strongest and most powerful beings in the universe. But Jack had shattered that belief in an instant. She had heard of the strength of humans, of their resilience, but to witness it firsthand was something else entirely. And now she faced the consequences of her defeat. Her future and the future of her empire rested in Jack's hands. Jack took a deep breath. His heart was pounding in his chest. He had fought many battles in his life, but this was different. Zora was different. She wasn't just another enemy to be defeated. She was a person, a strong, capable, and proud warrior who had been brought to her knees. Yet, there was something in her that intrigued him, something that made him hesitate. "Why do you want me to end you?" Jack asked, his voice steady but his mind racing. "What do you want from me, princess?" Zora's expression was unreadable, but her eyes softened. She met his gaze without flinching, showing no fear. "Because I have nothing left. I lost. You have defeated me in every way possible. What more is there for me?" Jack frowned. He had expected her to fight back, to beg for mercy or curse his name. But this was different. Zora wasn't asking for pity. She was simply acknowledging her defeat. It was a strange feeling for Jack, one that he had never experienced in a fight. "You've lost your pride, haven't you?" Jack said quietly, more to himself than to her. "You think this is the end for you, that there's no way forward." Zora didn't respond immediately. She simply stood there, her expression hardening again. "You are right, I've lost, but what else can I do? My people will never forgive me for this. a princess who was bested by a human. I am nothing now. Jack shook his head. You're wrong. Defeat doesn't define you. It's what you do next that matters. You don't have to die for this. Zora's eyes flickered, a brief flash of confusion crossing her face. You would let me live after what I've done to your people? After all the destruction the Virexians have caused? Jack took a step closer to her, his eyes never leaving hers. You're not the Virexian Empire. You're Zora, a warrior who fought with honor. You're a person just like me. And I'm giving you a choice. You can either return to your people and continue the war, or you can choose something else. Zora's mouth opened slightly as if she wanted to speak, but the words didn't come. She was torn. Part of her wanted to run, to return to the Empire and reclaim her status. The other part, the part that had been humbled by Jack's strength, felt a strange sense of peace in his words. You want me to live? She asked, her voice quiet. You want me to surrender to you? To become your ally? Jack nodded. Not surrender. Just live. And see if we can change things together. The Empire doesn't have to be the way it is. I know what it's like to fight for something greater than yourself. I'm offering you the chance to do that. Zora stood silently for a long moment, her gaze fixed on the human before her. It was a decision that could change everything. The fate of her people, the future of the Virexian Empire, and her own life. You think it's that simple? She asked, her voice low. You think I can just throw away everything I've been trained to believe? The Virexians will never accept me if I abandon my duties. I'm not asking you to abandon your people, Jack said softly. I'm asking you to choose a different way. You don't have to be a symbol of destruction. You can be a symbol of something new, something better. Zora looked at him long and hard, as if trying to read him, trying to understand his motives. She had seen so many warriors, so many enemies fall at her feet, but never had one offered her a choice like this. Never had she been offered a way out of the endless cycle of war and violence. For the first time, she wondered if Jack was right. Could there be another path? Could she change the course of her life? Could she change the future of her people? The answer wasn't clear, but for the first time in her life, she felt a spark of hope. A hope that perhaps, just perhaps, there was more to life than following orders, more to life than fighting wars that seemed endless. I don't know if I can do it, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion, but I'm willing to try. Jack smiled, a small, knowing smile. That's all I'm asking, to try. The two of them stood there, facing each other, the weight of the decision hanging between them. The crowd in the arena had long since stopped cheering, their silence a testament to the importance of this moment. What would happen next? No one knew. But one thing was certain. The future of the Virexian Empire, and the fate of two very different people, would never be the same again. As Zora took a step toward Jack, she knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges she couldn't yet foresee. But for the first time, she felt a sense of purpose beyond her own pride, beyond the empire that had raised her. She was ready to face whatever came next, together with Jack. And so the journey of change began. Not with a battle, but with a choice that would change the course of history for both the Virexian Empire and the human race.